Welcome everybody to the induction cooking class. We're going to be using induction technology today. So induction uses electricity and it's way more efficient than a gas or a coil stove. And there's no residual heat. It uses magnetism and eddy currents to heat the pan directly. It also reduces the indoor air pollution, and it's a lot easier to control the temperature. And then if you're going to be cooking with us, take a photo and tag us at Actera. It's Planet Actera. And our chef Kelvin on Instagram is Urban Bay Chef. We're also sponsored by East Bay Community Energy. They're serving the Alameda County, and they buy clean power and deliver it through PG&E lines. And so you get clean power to your house. And so we partner with them so you can rent out your own induction cooktop. So if you live in the East Bay Community Energy service territory, go to ebc.org/induction cooking apply so you can get your own induction cooktop. And then we're also sponsored by Power Saver Rewards. And so if you don't know about Power Saver Rewards, if there's a flex alert, we just want you to sign up and conserve energy from 4 to 9, only if there's a flex alert, and you can get a credit on your bill at the end of the season. That's pretty much it. And I'll put the link to the recipe in the chat. Take it away, Kevin.
Thank you, Irving. All right, you guys. So today we're going to be going straight into fall season right now. So today, one of my favorite things to do is to make a really good soup, Italian soup, for during this time of year. So today we're going to be making a zuppa Toscana soup with garlic bread on the side. Okay. First things first, one thing I like to do too when I'm cooking, especially this dish, is I like to get a lot of my prep done out of the way. So first thing we're gonna do is make sure we have all of our, what I like to call our mise en place, which is pretty much is get everything ready, okay? So chopping everything up and everything, because we're gonna be making the soup and we're gonna be mixing things in right after each other, back to back, okay? So first thing we wanna do is I wanna go ahead and we wanna start off with our onion, okay? So we need to make sure we dice up an onion. Right now, I have a medium-sized onion here, yellow onion. You can also use a sweet onion as well. And so we're gonna go ahead and dice that up. So when you're dicing up an onion, you guys, there's different areas of the onion that you want to pay attention to. We have our root right here, which really isn't very, very important. And what we're gonna do is we're not gonna cut this off. You need that, okay? You need that. We can cut off this end right here, but it's not necessary right now. What you want to do is cut right in the middle of it, right there. So you have two sides right here. And the reason for this is it holds everything together. If we were to cut this part off and then you're trying to dice everything up, then what's going to end up happening is your onion is going to fall apart. All the layers are going to fall apart. It's going to make it really, really hard to dice up your onion. So you want to go ahead and cut that off first. And then from there, again, leave this part on, go on the other end and slice that off. We're doing both of them. Again, that's what we want to do is make sure you have a container or something where you can go ahead and throw your scraps in. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw my scraps in this one, in this bowl, just to make sure I keep my surface clean. And then you want to peel off that first layer. I always like to peel off that first layer of onion just to make sure I get all this flesh. All right. There we go. Get all that off, put that to the side. Now, when you're dicing your onion, a lot of people just like to go ahead and just chop it up just like that and then chop it up like that because it's layered. You can do that, but if you really want some really good, precise slices, what I do is hold my onion down with my palm here, and I come from underneath right here, and I just kind of make a slit right across. Then make another one right above that one and another one above that one. So you have like a layer here, a layer here, and a layer here. So do it again for the other one. Then, now we go ahead and we just make that slit straight across, straight down. Do it for the other one. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife. And then from there, then you dice. Make sure you have a container to put that in. All right. Good to go. Put that to the side. We don't need that. Don't need that. And then grab yourself a bowl or something to put that in. Be right back. Grab myself a bowl. And then put that to the side. All right. That's a really nice dice there. That's how you can make sure you have a nice dice. And sometimes it's like anything else, practice makes perfect. If you're having a hard time right now, that's totally fine, but practice makes perfect. All right, we got that to the side. Next, what we need to do now is we want to go ahead, I want to start peeling my potatoes. All right, you can use 5 small russes or you can use 2 large ones. So this one I have 2 large ones. I'm just going to go ahead and peel it. Now it's up to you too. If you want to keep the peel on, it's up to you. But for this recipe, we're just going to take it off. Okay. Get yourself a veggie peeler and get all that skin off. And again, just like everything else, anything we're not using, go ahead and toss that into the bin for your compost. One thing I also like to do too is when I'm prepping things, especially potatoes because they can oxidize, is I really like to make sure I have a bowl of water of some sort to dip that in, keep it from oxidizing. Now, usually with this, sometimes people like to just go ahead and add and dice it up and add it to the water and let it sit in the water. But what happens when you do that, you guys, is your onion, not your onion, but your potato, it has a lot of starch in there. And so if you were to leave your potato in water for a good period of time, at the end, once you strain it out, you'll see a lot of starch at the bottom of the bowl. For this recipe, we don't want to do that because this is a soup and we want to make sure that starch, we only use a lot of starch because that's going to be our natural thickener for this soup, okay? It's not going to be too thick, but it's definitely going to help it thicken up a little bit on its own without having to use cornstarch, okay? So we have that. We have our peels. We have our potatoes ready to go. We're going to put that to the side. Now we're going to also need to dice up mince up some garlic. We're going to need 3 cloves of garlic for this recipe. All right. So again, if you've ever been to my class before, here's a tip. Use the back end of your knife here. That way you don't cut yourself and you just smash it down. That garlic, smash it down. And I'm getting so close to my fingers, but that's totally fine because I'm using the back end where it's not sharp. And it makes it a lot easier to mince up your garlic when you do it like that. So then you want to bring everything together and then finish it off. Be careful, watch your fingers. As you see, I have my hand like this, holding it down and making sure that I don't cut my fingers. That's what I call the claw. Okay, because it protects your fingers. And when I'm coming down on it, as I'm cutting, I'm only touching my knuckles here. Your knuckle is your savior, okay? It keeps that knife from going in to where any of your fingertips are. But if you really want to be safe about it, just put your hand on top, punch everything together, and just give it a nice once over, or twice over, or twice over. That's 3. All right, go ahead, put that to the side. I'm gonna save that for later. All right. And I believe that's our mise en place for right now, you guys. All right. So now what I'm gonna do too. So in this recipe calls for fennel seeds. Okay. So one thing I like to do, especially when I'm working with fennel seeds, one thing I learned to do when I'm working with fennel seeds is I like to go ahead and I like to toast my fennel seeds. You know, brings out all that aroma. I really, really love the flavor of it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna let this heat up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and toss my fennel seeds in. And you don't want to cook them too long, okay? You just want to cook them long enough to where you can start smelling the aromatics of it. That's what we're looking for, okay? You don't want to toast them too long. So sometimes what you can do is just kind of like move them around, and then we're just gonna go ahead and put them back to where we got them from, and then we'll start our soup, okay? While that's going, for later on in our recipe, we're also going to be needing some more garlic. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna grab some more garlic. I got about 3 1/4 cloves that I'm gonna mince up right now too, because we're gonna need that for our bread later on. Okay. Because what's a soup without some crispy garlic bread? What's an Italian soup at that without some crispy garlic bread? So that's what we're gonna do with that. But I wanna make sure that I have this all ready to go, and minced up all ready to go. So all we have to do is put everything together and toast that bread up, because we're gonna toast that bread up later on, all right? Again, same thing. Watch your fingers. Finish off with your hands on top. Looking good. You get some on your knife, just go ahead and just slide it back off, put it back together with his brothers and sisters. Don't forget about your fennel seeds. You kind of smell it a little bit, not too much, but we're getting there. But when you're multitasking and you're doing something like this, always make sure you're paying attention, okay? That's why I love induction burners, because you can see here and you can be at your prep station and you have to run over to your oven or your stove and check on that. You have everything right here, so you can keep an eye on it, because when you're cooking something, especially like this, when you're toasting things, you always want to make sure you're keeping an eye on it, okay? Because they will burn real fast. As soon as you turn your head, it will burn. And one thing I learned in the restaurant industry is you don't want to burn anything, because that's coming out of your pocket, all right? All right, so we got that done. I'm gonna go ahead and put that to the side. I'm gonna put that right back with the ingredients. I'm gonna put that right back with the ingredients for my bread. All right. All right, let's check on these real quick. Ah, smell it, I can smell it. Yes, that's what we're looking for. As soon as you can smell it and you can see all that smoke coming out, that's what we're looking for, okay? Lets you know that, okay, we're ready to go. Because anything further than that, then you're definitely going to end up burning it, okay? Good, perfect.
Did you put oil in the when you put the fennel seeds on the stove?
Nope, no oil at all. Just throw the fennel seeds right into the pan and just let them toast up. Don't have to worry about doing any oil on there. All right, so now we have that ready to go. Now let's get everything going. So first we want to do is over medium heat. We get our pot ready today. I got make sure I got a big enough pot. Like last time I didn't have a big enough pot, so make sure you have a big enough pot for this. So what I'm gonna do is heat some olive oil over a pot of medium heat. So if you have an induction burner that's based on a number system, our medium heat is going to be between 4 and 5. I already have it on 5 right now, so I'm good to go. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil. And what we're going to do is we're going to brown our sausage, okay? So this is an Impossible sausage right here that I got from Safeway. Looks like regular sausage, and it crumbles up really well like sausage, okay? So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to let these heat up first. Grab yourself a spatula or a wooden spoon, and we're going to go ahead and throw that in. Let's check it out. I always like to put one in there just to see, because that's what I'm looking for. I want something I want to hear it sizzle. When I hear it sizzle, it lets me know that it's ready to go. All right. You can go ahead and just dump all that in there. And just like any other sausage, you want to brown this up, okay? We want it to brown up. We're gonna let that cook. And it's already browning up. I can smell it already. I love this stuff. So even for breakfast, you can use this for breakfast sausage and everything too. Because sometimes for breakfast sausage, I love Italian sausage for breakfast. Delicious. So what you want to do is stir this frequently until it browns up for maybe about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, but what we're really looking for is to get all this pink out. Okay, you don't want to see any pink in here. You want that brown color. When you're cooking sausage or any type of meat and you want to brown. That's when you say you want to brown your meat. That's what we're looking for. And as you can see too, this thing is perfect. Okay, this is a perfect sausage here because it's clumping up. Okay, it crumbles up really, really well. It's not just a package saying that, hey, it crumbles up really, really well. It does. It actually does. So you keep mixing this up. Now, while that's cooking up, because obviously we're multitaskers, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna start dicing up my potato, okay? Also, too, you see this, the water too, sometimes you can see the water start to turn colors. That's the oxidization that we are not allowing to happen, but it will get into your water. So for this, we're gonna do like some medium dice, so go ahead. I would like to cut it in thirds. Get that little piece off. You can go with your brothers and sisters for compost. And we're gonna do about an inch. Okay. We're going an inch with these. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we definitely want to do it to the point where they cook evenly, okay? Then my sausage, a nice little mix up again. Make sure you're mixing up that sausage, you guys. It's what we call multitasking. This one is a little smaller, so always pay attention to the size of your potatoes too, guys. Like when you're slicing it like this, because obviously some sizes are going to be bigger than the others, and so that middle part you see is kind of like more thicker. So instead of cutting in thirds, I just cut it right in half to make sure we're trying to get as close as possible to the same size. So another one right here, boom, boom. Again, we're going to cut this in thirds. And then go ahead and slice these bad boys up. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, but we're trying to do our best to try to make it as uniform as possible. Watch those fingers, see my claw. All right, almost done there. And that's why sometimes I love to like prep and stuff and while and multitask, because instead of sitting there, you know, and waiting for your stuff to cook up and everything, you could be doing other things to prepare yourself, right? All right, looks like we're all nice and browned up. Now what I'm going to do with this, and this is why I love doing this too, because when you're cooking your sausage, you know, sometimes you get like some of the sausage crust on the bottom of your pan. That is golden. You don't want to lose that. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Move this to the side, and then I'm going to take this sausage, and you want to take it out and just put it into a bowl, a paper towel or something. That way you can kind of make sure that you don't lose any of it, but also what it does is strain all that extra grease, whatever, if you have any grease on there, okay? I just set up a spoon. Ideally a slotted spoon. Smells delicious. Smells delicious. Love it already. All right. We get all of that. Look at that nice crumble. Nice crumble. That's what we're looking for. Now you're like, oh, I can't get all of this out. That's totally fine, because this is a part of the dish anyway. It's going to be in there anyway, okay? All right, let's put that to the side. Let that drain a little bit. Let's get back to work, shall we? All right, now get that back on. What we're going to do next, you guys, is now we're going to go ahead and start making what we call a roux, or you can make it, sorry, but we call that a roux. So what we're going to do is you'll use 2 tablespoons of butter, of the vegan butter. Go ahead and toss that in. Let that melt. You can give it a little hand too. Okay. Let that bad boy melt. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to mix in some flour, okay? We're going to mix in flour. We're going to use about 2 tablespoons of flour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down to, right now, I'm going to turn it to like medium low. So I got it on 3 right now. I'm going to turn it to medium low, let that melt. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and add my flour into there. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of flour. Once this melts. All right, looking good. But you can use a spoon for that. Just make sure you get everything incorporated, okay? Make sure you get all that flour incorporated. We don't want no clumps, okay? All right. Let that go for a minute. And now, once we get that, let's mix that in. This is all nice and smooth and bubbly like we see right now. Then we're gonna go ahead and start adding everything else in, okay? So first we wanna go ahead, nice and bubbly, add your onion. All right. Also, those fennel seeds that we toasted earlier, that smells so delicious. Add those bad boys to it. Okay. Next, we're gonna do is we're gonna need some oregano in here. All right. So we're gonna need the oregano in here. For this one, oregano, we're gonna need about a teaspoon of oregano. Add the oregano in there. We're also gonna need about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. So go ahead and toss that black pepper in there. And then we'll also do like a little pinch of red pepper flakes, okay? Just a pinch. That's it, just a pinch. Because we're gonna use some later on anyway. Now, we're gonna use a chef's pinch. That's your thumb, your index finger, and your middle finger together. And then we're gonna go ahead and mix that in. Let that cook down. All right. We're gonna do this until the onion starts to kind of like soften a little bit. I'm gonna bring this down to 2 right now. So I'm gonna put this like to medium low. You know, you always gotta pay attention to, because every dish, every pot, pan, equipment that you use sometimes are different. So, you know, you always want to pay attention to see how things are cooking. If you feel like it's getting too hot, then turn it down. Use your best discretion, okay? You know, you're in charge here. That's all that matters. Make sure you're in charge. All right. We got that good. So we're gonna do after that. Once this is done, then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our garlic. We're gonna do our garlic last though. The reason why we're doing our garlic last is because since we have to let this cook for a little bit, we want to make sure that that garlic does not burn. If you have burnt garlic in your dish, it's not going to be good. I'm telling you now. All right. So we want to make sure that we wait until we add our garlic, and we're going to add that at the last. Looking nice. Go ahead, add your garlic to here. I can see a lot of that stuff crusting at the bottom. This is where we start to what we call a deglaze. Okay, so we're gonna do it after this, like for 30 seconds. Then we're gonna go ahead and pour our stock in. We're gonna throw our milk in and let that combine. Okay, so it's been about 30 seconds. And a little fancy spouted. Throw your veggie stock in. Then I'm gonna bring this heat up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna bring it up to about back up to medium heat. And then we're also going to need a cup of our plant-based milk. I use almond milk for this one. So you can use almond milk. I prefer almond milk. Always make sure it's unflavored and unsweet. Okay, because always make sure you pay attention to the carton or where it's coming in, because sometimes, you know, it may be almond milk, but then if you miss it, you may be getting a vanilla one. And I don't know if vanilla it goes with this dish. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I know it doesn't, but you know, sometimes you gotta be creative. So if you want to be creative with it and you have a love for vanilla, then go for it. Test it out. But if it doesn't work out, go back to the original, okay? I'll be back and look at my milk real quick. We're just gonna go ahead and just toss that in. Just like so. Beautiful. What I love about this dish, you guys, is doesn't take a lot of prep at all either, you know, and doesn't use up a lot of dishes at all. Again, like you guys know about me, I hate washing dishes. Okay, that's why I turned into cooking, because usually I was the one doing the dishes. So I'm like, okay, there's something to this. So I learned how to cook. So now I don't have to worry about doing dishes. I just do all the cooking, and I get to taste the food first too. You know, because you have to taste your food when you eat. So it's a win-win-win-win-win. You're always winning, and you have to worry about dishes unless you live alone, and then eventually you're gonna have to. Okay, like me, I live alone. I have my dog Jax. and he does nothing. He just comes here and he just eats and does his due and does not help. And he just waits for things scraps to fall. That's what he does. Okay. So getting back to you guys. All right. So we got our stock in, we got our milk in. Once that's combined, then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our potatoes in here. Now, we got our potatoes in this water. Make sure you strain out that water first before you go ahead and put the potatoes in there because we already got the liquid that we need in here already. We don't need extra water because that's gonna really just blend out our dish. So we don't want that. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna add my potatoes in there. Go ahead, cut them all. Boom, boom, boom. Then I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. Anytime you're working with a soup, you guys, okay, anytime you're working with a soup, anything you wanna do is bring that up to a boil first. First bring it up to a boil and then let it simmer. Because if you're gonna let it simmer, if you let it simmer completely, then throughout the whole time, you're gonna be there for a long time, okay? And we ain't got no time, we're hungry. It's evening, we wanna eat. So for this one, even though I have it on medium right now, I'm gonna blast this bad boy up to about 10 right now. We're gonna bring it up to high because I wanna bring it to a boil anyway. And I gotta turn it back down. And that's one thing I love about it is induction burners too. When it comes to the temperature, it is top notch when it comes to temperature, okay? Sometimes you can eyeball if you're dealing with gas stoves and things like that. But myself, I have an electric stove here and those are the ones with the corals and everything. And if you worked with those before, you cannot predict what temperature is going to be at, okay? It sucks. I'm just saying now, whoever invented it did not think of us, okay? There was like, here, we have a product and let's put it out there and let them figure it out. And then we'll give feedback and then we'll change it up. So with these induction burners, you can have a lot more control, okay? As long as you know the ins and outs as far as what temperature you're looking for, then you're good to go. So what I'm doing right now, you guys too, make sure too, because even though we did glaze, there's still like a lot of that crust at the bottom of your pot. So make sure if you go ahead and get your spoon and just kind of scrape all that off, okay? And get all that in there because you have all that flavor from the sausage, you have that all the fennel and the herbs and everything that's stuck at the bottom. You want to get all that mixed in, all right? All right, so go ahead, let that go. We're gonna bring that to a boil. Once that comes to a boil, we're gonna go ahead and bring it down to a simmer. And so once we bring it to a simmer, you know, then we're gonna just pop a lid on it and let it go. All right. It should take about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. That's how long it takes. But that's what we're looking for. As you guys can see right there, there's Jack's back there. He's just still waiting for something, but it's soup today, bro. So you're not gonna be getting too much today. I'm sorry. And what's so good about this dog, he's also vegan too. So, he's always here for it, regardless of what I'm making. He knows it's vegan and he's very, very picky about what he eats. It's nothing but veggies and blueberries and fruit and everything like that. So proud. All right, so we're gonna let that come to a boil. Now, while that comes to a boil, while we wait for that to come to a boil, we don't have to stop there, guys, okay? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start prepping stuff for our bread. All right, because what's an Italian soup without some garlic bread? I love garlic. And like we said earlier, we went ahead and we already chopped up our garlic anyway. So what we're gonna do for this one is have a nice half a loaf of sourdough here. And I like big pieces of bread, okay? I like big pieces of bread that I can just dip it in. I don't wanna go with little ones and then have to go through many of them. I want a nice one, big one. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just slice that down the middle, like so, make some good pieces out of that. Gonna do about 2 of them. Beautiful, one more. Oh my God, I can smell the soup already. I'm gonna make my neighbors very, very jealous and I don't even care. They deserve to be jealous because they're not back over here slaving over the stove like I am. All right, so we got our bread here, perfect. Now, we're gonna also need too is we're gonna need some about a half a cup of unsalted vegan butter. So that my butter here is softened already. Okay, so it's already softened. If it's not softened, what you can do is get something and kind of like heat it up, throw it in the microwave, get it nice and warm and everything, but not till it's melted, okay? You want it to the point where you can kind of, it makes it spreadable. So this one's spreadable right now. Then from there, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, all right? You can also sub for garlic powder as well. Me personally, I like to use both because I'm a big fan of garlic. If you're from the San Francisco area, and if you've ever been to the North Beach area, there's a place that was called, and I say was because ever since the pandemic, I believe they shut it down, but it was a place called Stinking Roux. So I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure you know why they were called Stinking Roux. Garlic, 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 garlic. And so I have a love for garlic. So you'll see me anytime that I'm cooking anything and call for garlic and the recipe calls for garlic, just know I'm gonna put a little bit more, okay? If you're not a fan of garlic, don't come to my house because you're gonna be eating a lot of garlic and your breath's gonna be stinking when you leave, okay? So invest in some gum or some mints. All right, just to show you guys real quick, we are at a boil here. We're looking for a nice rolling boil, okay? So get this one nice little once over again, like so. And then I'm gonna go ahead, cover this bad boy up and place it to the side. Actually, before we do that, I wanna bring it down to a simmer. So my simmer is probably gonna be, oh, that smells so good. All right, so my simmer is probably gonna be about, I'm gonna take it to like a medium low. So I'm gonna put it on 3 for right now. Then I'm gonna check it in about a minute or so just to make sure that it's at a simmer, okay? Always make sure you're checking to make sure it's at a simmer. Now that we got that done, let's get back to our bread, shall we? So we got our garlic here. Now, I'm also gonna do 2 tablespoons of garlic powder because again, I love garlic. You can't go wrong, you guys. See, where is my garlic powder? Here we go. So, you know what? I'm just probably gonna do like 1 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon should be enough. Yeah, that should be enough. Sometimes you just eyeball it, you know. Sometimes you can just kind of just, you know, go for what you know. It's all based on your wants and your needs. All right. So then from there, we're gonna have some chopped parsley. We're gonna need some salt in here. All right. So we're gonna do maybe about 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped parsley. Go ahead and clean this off real quick because a clean kitchen is a happy chef. You want to make sure that you're cleaning off your surfaces. All right. You guys are probably wondering, why do you have a towel underneath your cutting board? Well, if you have a cutting board, as you see, when you're cutting things, very, very slippery, right? Not safe, especially when you're chopping things up. So grab yourself a towel, okay? Wet it. Don't soak it, just wet it, nice and damp. Put it down, place it here. No movement. If you don't have a towel, you can use paper towels too. It's all about safety, okay? You don't want to sit there and cooking your food and everything else slips around, and then all of a sudden you're missing a finger or something, okay? Especially if you're making like anything with like fingerling potatoes. All right, that's not gonna be a good look. Somebody's gonna get something with a crunch. It's not gonna be good. All right, and then they're gonna talk about you. So I'm gonna take some parsley, I'm gonna bunch it up real quick, make sure I get a bunch of it up, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and just chop that up real quick. All right. Give it a nice once over because we wanna get all that mixed in evenly. Like if you did with the onion, make sure you get some out of the sides. One more. Also, too, when you're chopping herbs, you guys, practice your form, and I'll tell you why. When you're chopping herbs, you know you want to make sure that they're not bruised because when they're bruised, a lot of that juice, a lot of that that essence gets on your cutting board. And so when you're chopping, you see, I put the tip of my knife down first, and I follow through. That's how you can make sure you don't bruise it. Some people just go and just chop, and everything, but then you're bruising your herbs, okay? Especially if you're doing presentation. If you're doing presentation, then definitely make sure that you work on your form. And it's not gonna come overnight, you guys. You know, practice makes perfect. So practice that. All right. Now, you also notice too that I took my parsley out of a paper towel. Why, you ask? So it helps your herbs last a lot longer. So one thing I like to do is I take a paper towel, I'll wet it, I'll wring out a lot of the water, and then what I'll do is I'll roll it up into it. What that does, it really, really helps preserve your herbs. If you ever bought herbs before and then you still have some left over and it goes bad really, really fast, this will make your herbs last a lot longer. And with it being wet, it kind of seals on its own too. And if you feel like, and then if you put it in your refrigerator and then after a while it dries out, just take it out, add a little bit more water to it, okay? It makes your stuff last a lot longer. This is a little chef tip. I love chef tips. All right, let's check and see real quick, because I have not forgot, because I am a master multitasker, AKA OCD, okay? And I'm gonna check and see where I'm at. Okay, see, now that's why I want to check, because I wanna make sure that we're at a simmer. All right, this is more still like a little rolling boil. So now I'm gonna bring it back down to 2. But then also too, since I have potatoes in here, I'm gonna make sure I give like a nice little stir so it doesn't stick at the bottom, okay? So just give a little stir. Now we're looking, now I got it at 2 right now. I'm gonna bring it down to 2, I'm gonna keep it at 2. Because if I bring it down to 1, then I'm definitely not gonna have a simmer, all right? So go ahead, put that back on, constantly check it, okay, you guys? Now that we got that done, so we have our parsley in here, we have our garlic in here, we have my extra garlic powder in there, all right? And then from there, just gonna add a little bit of salt, okay? Because it's not salted. So we're gonna make sure we add a little bit of salt, just a pinch, a chef's pinch. And again, like I said earlier, guys, as a chef's pinch, it's not when you take, a lot of people just take a pinch and just go like, take a little bit of it and just get like that. It's not gonna do anything, okay? And again, salt is not to flavor your food, it's to enhance the flavors of anything that you're cooking with, okay? So I'm just going to chef's pinch, which is index finger, middle finger, and your thumb. And just take a bit of it and just sprinkle it in there. That's your chef's pinch. I learned that the hard way, you guys, because I did it before in a restaurant, like add a pinch of that, and then I got yelled at, because you know how sometimes chefs can be, they yell a lot. Some of them like to turn into Gordon Ramsay. I'm not a Gordon Ramsay, okay, at all. All right, and so from there, then we're gonna do maybe just a little bit of black pepper too, a pinch. And since I don't have one, I have just like one of these grinders, I'm gonna do about 4 or 5. Boom. Go ahead, mix that all in. Mix that all in, smash it in there. Okay, make it a spread. And if you have leftover, take yourself some plastic wrap and wrap this bad boy in there. And save it for later. All right, look at that. Beautiful. I'm just gonna go ahead and mix that all in like so. Then you have a nice spread. And then also too, then you also have a compound butter. So you just made yourself a compound butter just now, guys, okay? And you can do is just go there in a plastic wrap, roll it up, make sure it's sealed, throw it in the freezer, okay? And then last. Now, we're gonna do from there, I'm gonna go ahead and get my breads, and I'm just gonna go ahead and spread it on there, okay? Look how beautiful that is already. Already. Then we're gonna do later on, because I found a really nice place over in North Beach that specializes in vegan foods. And they also have a vegan Parmesan cheese, because this is North Beach. So why would they not have vegan Parmesan cheese?
Hey, Kelvin, how much kale did we add to the soup?
We didn't add any kale yet. We're gonna add that kale at the last minute, but what we're gonna add is we're probably gonna add about, honestly, you can add as much as you want. I'll be honest with you. You can add as much as you want. There's really no increments of it. It's all based on how much you want to put it in there. For me, for this dish, I have about maybe, and I use the curly kale too. So I have about maybe, I would say that's probably like about a cup and a half. Not even that, probably like a cup and a quarter.
Okay.
But but definitely for a pot like this, you can probably put like two really good big handfuls of it. The probably will be like about 2 to 3 cups. So I have a lot of this left over. I'm gonna save this later on. And I'm gonna roll that up. So now I have my bread ready to go here for later on because we're gonna grill that bad boy. Now let's check on our soup, shall we? Pardon me, guys. Go ahead, make sure you're being safe. Yeah, beautiful. It's already reducing as it is already. And again, this is a soup, okay? So what we're looking for right now, only thing we're waiting for right now is for these potatoes really to cook. So I'm gonna take one out, smash it down. Looking good. So you guys know, I just took one out and just smash it down. If it's smashed down, it's good to go, all right? So we all know how potatoes work. So now we have that done. Now what we're gonna do is once we have that and we have that cooked down, now once that's reached to a boil and we have that, uncover it. Now we're gonna do is we're gonna add our kale and then we're gonna add our sausage back in there. So go ahead, toss all that kale in there. Boom. Right? Now, for our sausage, don't use all your sausage, you guys, okay? Because you're gonna want some for like a little bit of garnish. So I'm gonna do maybe like about 3/4 of this sausage because it's a main ingredient of this dish. Ooh, look at that bad boy. That's good. All right, that's good. All right, so we have our sausage in there, we have our kale in there, all right? And we're gonna let that cook for an additional, maybe about another 5 minutes or so. Or we kind of and we're pretty good right now too, honestly. Because the only thing you want is that kale to wilt. And then also too, being chefs, we gotta make sure we taste our food. So grab yourself a spoon. This is when we know, okay, this is why when they say salt to taste, I always add it at the end. Because as a soup cooks and everything, and then it reduces, it evaporates, it starts to make, depending on how much salt you put in the beginning, it concentrates. And so one thing you want to do is that's why you put it at the end. So all that soup, all that salt does not concentrate and make your soup very, very salty. So then you're gonna have to go ahead and add more liquids to there and everything. And we don't want to do that because we don't want to take away all our flavors. Beautiful. And the good thing about soups as well too is we do one more chef's pinch. The good thing about soups is just like any soup, when it sits overnight, then the flavor just intensifies even more. So we got a nice big old pot of soup right now, but overnight, I'm definitely gonna have some tonight, but tomorrow, the soup is gonna be even better. And I learned that from being from the South, and when we make our gumbo in the South and everything, that's what happens, okay? We don't eat all of it at once, but we're gonna make sure that we save some for the next day. All right, now, to finish everything off, let's go ahead and let's get to our toast, okay? Our bread. Pardon me, Dex, turn away. I'm gonna move this to the side real quick. Let that sit. And then one thing I like to do when it comes to making any type of toast, I love cast iron. Oh my God, if you have not invested in a cast iron skillet, please do. They last forever. As long as you take care of them, they last forever, okay? So get yourself a cast iron. You'll be happy you did. All right, while we're doing that as well, while that's warming up, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get my bowl so I can plate up. But we're almost there, you guys. There we go. I'm a big fan of bowls and everything, too, soup bowls and things like that. So I love just buying different bowls, different things that I can plate up in. If you're ever looking for a place where you can buy like really good bowls, I recommend going to a lot of different like Asian supply stores. They're very, very cheap, but they're also durable. I've had these bows for forever. Okay, I've moved from San Francisco to Oakland to Tahoe, back here to Sacramento, and I still have these bows. They're still in great shape. You just make sure you're taking care of them. All right. So for this one, I'm going to do now is go ahead and add that in. Again, we want to make sure that pan is nice and hot, because thing about it is we don't want it too hot because you don't want to cook it too fast. But one thing we want to make sure is that, you know, you hear that sizzle. When you hear that sizzle, that's your pan letting you know that I'm ready to go. If you don't hear that sizzle, then you're moving too fast. Bring it back a little bit, okay, and just enjoy cooking. All right. So you're gonna let that sizzle for a minute, let that cook. I also have my Parmesan here. I'm gonna put that on at the end, because usually what I like to do first is I like to go ahead and let that crust up a little bit first, and then I'll add Parmesan on top, and then finish it off, and then flip it over and get that back in to where it get nice and crispy. Because having a soup that with some soft bread, it's good, but it's even more better when you have a really nice toasty bread. All right. So I'm going to bring that up a little bit. Right now I have it at about medium heat. I'm going to bring it up to about the highest part of medium. So I'm going to bring it up to 5. And then if I need it to go a little bit higher, then I will. But for right now, I'm going to stop it right there. In the meantime, in between time, this is a perfect time for you to kind of like go around and just tidy up a little bit. Oh, I can smell that butter and all that flavor and everything, that garlic. Talk to me. Talk to me. All right, while we're doing that, make sure you're checking it out. Yep, see, this is what you gotta do. You gotta always make sure you test it. Check it out. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. You always gotta watch it. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna toss a little bit of that Parmesan on here. And honestly, with this being so hot, it's gonna melt on there, you guys, okay? But you can see all those herbs on there, and then let that cook on the other side, and then we're gonna do our next one, okay? In the meantime, between time, I'm gonna go ahead and start plating up from my soup. Go. So we have our soup right here. Beautiful soup there. And then also too, you want to make sure you kind of garnish that too, okay? So you want to add a little bit more black pepper to there. I'm also going to add a few more of that red pepper flakes, because I like a little spice, but also this really nice contrast of colors. And then also going to finish off. How is this looking? Pretty good. I love it. All right, I'm gonna bring that down. Bring it down a little bit. We got last little bread. I'm also going to go ahead and add some more my sausage on there. Beautiful. Let's see here. I'll move that to the side. For my bread, I really like to just cut it right in half. This is a big piece of bread, that's totally fine. So I like to get really creative with it. Just cut it at a bias. We have our soup here. You can add more herbs to it if you want to. I'm gonna get rid of this potato because we don't need it anymore. Thank you for your contribution to our cooking. And honestly, I'm gonna cheat right now, okay? I'm gonna do a little cheating because I love this bread. But as you can see, the toast, that bread is already, that cheese is already melted on there. It's perfect. I'm just gonna cheat and have a little piece real quick. That's beautiful. Oh, talk to me, guys. I don't know if they're planning on bringing back stinking rolls, but if not, I don't know. I might have to start my own and call it Stinking Tulip or something. I don't know, but I gotta start my own. All right, flipping that bread over real quick. Again, Clean Kitchen is a happy chef. So, and the other thing I love about this whole tip with the towel underneath is, as you can see, nice easy cleanup afterwards too. You know, nice easy cleanup. You know, these are some of the tricks. If you guys ever watch any of those cooking shows, or you know, it's like you have your favorite local chef on the news, and you know they're showing you all these different tips and tricks and everything, and they're teaching you all about these different meals. The one thing they don't show you, that's one of the things they don't show you, is that part. You know, I'm going to show you. I'm going to expose the truth. All right, that's okay. I mean, what are you going to do? Stop me from cooking? Can't happen. All right, let's see here. We're almost ready to go. We have our bread here. We have our soup here. I'm gonna get my last little one. Pardon me, Jax. I'm gonna grab me another plate too, because you know, I want to make sure that I have a plate for all my breads. And then we got our last one here. Beautiful. Now, if you really like your toast to be really crispy, what I suggest you do is go ahead, start off with grilling it off first, and then pop it in the oven for a few more minutes or so to get it really crispy, okay? A little more there. Honestly, I like a little bit of spice to it, and you even get more creative. And then if you like a little bit more kick to it, add some pepper, some chili flakes to it too. And we are set to go. I'm gonna finish this off. Another little bias slice, like so. And we are ready to go, you guys. All right. And there you have it. We are ready for the fall. From there, you just go ahead, give it a nice little dip. Now we're talking. And there you have it. There you have it, guys. Get some of this soup real quick too. So this is delicious. So if you did not get a chance to make this tonight with us, please try this recipe. You will not go wrong, okay? And you'll be set for number one, you're gonna be set for a few days because you got a whole pot of soup there. But also you'll be set for autumn. You can make this in the winter as well too. Trust me, you're gonna love it. Very hearty. Has some meat. Has some sauce. Has some sausage. Has some veggies in there. Potatoes. You have every single part of a dish that you need. You got your protein. You got your carbs. You got your veggie. And you got your water. Oh, delicious.
It looks really good, Chef Kelvin, and I'm excited to try my own right now. Thanks for the great class, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you for coming, Judy.